Keagan Stiefel. As you see, flannels are already in play. We're week 1 into the NFL season. It's chilly in New England, so the flannels are coming out. This is a victory, Foxboro Rush. The first of the year. We're counting real games here. A victory for the New England Patriots, 16-10. Keagan, I am shocked. I'm sure the NFL world is. Everyone and their mother count out the Patriots. I think even Patriots players' mothers counted them out as well. But they came out, straight dominated the Bengals. We'll get all into it, but like instant reaction. I mean, what did you think seeing this game unfold? And the Patriots come out of week 1 with the W, 16-10 over Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, one of the stories I wrote immediately after the game was there were about 8 people that don't work at One Patriot Place who thought the Patriots could win this game, and they were vindicated. They were right. The Patriots went out there and played the brand of football that they told us all that they were going to play. I don't think any of us believed not only that they would try to go about it that way, but that they could do it. And, they went out, they ran the ball, they played good defense, they won the turnover battle, and you end up at 1-0, which like I said earlier, I don't think anybody expected.
No one did. No one counted them to. And even with Jamar Chase coming off a summer where he never practiced and playing without a contract and had a good day, especially getting that deep pass late in the game, but for the most part, keeping him in check. But this was a Joe Burrow with a multi-invested offensive line, whether through the draft, whether through last offseason getting him a left tackle, this offseason signing Trent Brown to be his right tackle. Like watching it, Joe Burrow was never comfortable and never had time in the pocket. He was held under 200 yards. I don't care that Jamar Chase is on short practice. T. Higgins isn't playing. Andres Yosivash, I almost messed it up, is his wide receiver 2 or 3. And then Mike Gesicki was a non-factor as well in that touchdown. I don't care. It's Joe Burrow. He's top 5, top 3 at position. He gets comparisons to Tom Brady in his playing style and how he doesn't have to be physically dominant, but you kept him in check. They kept this offense in check, and it was the defensive line and DeMarcus Covington with his blitz packages, bringing the heat, never letting him get comfy. And then the offensive line opposite of that, we'll get into it. Left tackle was terrible today. But still, Rhamondre Stevenson averaged 4.8 yards per rush, 25 carries, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, and iced the game when everybody and their mother knew the Patriots were going to run the ball. The entire defense for Luan Arumo knew they were going to run the ball, and they did, and it was successful, and that's how they sealed the win. So you said it. I mean, the Patriots won the turnover battle, +2 in turnovers, forcing and recovering 2 fumbles. We saw a lot of bad football from the Bengals, but we saw a lot of good football, competent football, smart, disciplined football from the Patriots. To me, that was the difference in this. Like, special teams was good.
Right.
Offensively, wasn't sexy. And Jacoby Brissett by no means was like, wow, this guy's great. But made the right throws, made the right scrambles when he had to. And the receivers were okay. But it was running the ball, playing physical. And what Gerard Mayo, what Alex Van Pelt, what they said they would do all summer long shows up in week 1, and they pulled off a huge upset. It's not even getting to the Vegas spread on all this. Like, the Bengals are in the mix to be in the Super Bowl. Like, that is their expectations. Right. That's how they built that roster. With that quarterback and wide receiver, that's what they will be in. And the Patriots beat them in week 1. It can be wonky coming out of the gates, but they were more ready, and credit to Gerard Mayo and all that. Like, all summer long, the long practices, in the pads, playing, hitting, 11-on-11 football, being as physical as you can with the new CBA, his team came out ready for a rookie head coach, rookie play caller, rookie DC, and a rookie front office leader as well, and Elliott Wolf. Like, credit to them on this win.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett said it after the game where there was a moment in time, like you just said, where everybody and their mother knew that they were going to run the football. And Brissett said, we knew that the work we put in the offseason and our style of football, the way this team was built, we're going to go ahead and do it. Like, it wasn't ever really a question of whether they could pick up a couple first downs and ice the game. It was just how they were going to do it. And Rhamondre Stevenson, a guy who we're going to talk about, he offensively in this game, he went out and said, he was like, why are we doing this outside zone? Why are we trying to get to the edge? Let me just run through people. Like, let me run downhill. I'll get you 4 yards a pop, and we'll ice the game. He told AVP. AVP went and changed the kind of the structure of the way they were running things offensively, and they go out and they ice the game. So just early on in a tenure with Gerard Mayo, first year head coach, all 3 of your coordinators, first year either here or in that role. Mm-hmm. Front office, the only people who really know what they're doing is the ownership, and they have nothing to do with what's happening on the field at this point in the season. So having all of those guys ready to go immediately and to trust the players who have been here, who they've paid and they've kind of told Rhamondre Stevenson, like, you're the future. We gave you a contract. If he has the confidence to go out there and say, this is what we're going to do. I know it's happening. I'm on the field in the game. We're going to go out there. We're going to run the ball the way I want to run the ball, and we can take care of it. And they go and do it. Like, you can't ask for anything more than that in week 1, I don't think.
Yeah, it started out beginning of the game when they were running the ball efficiently, but obviously Rhamondre felt more comfortable going with the gap scheme. Like, it was a lot of outside zone, very heavy in that. I loved the approach they had too of, I mean, we'll get into the offensive line talk now, by all means, like, take over when you want, Keegs, but we saw a starting line of Chuks Okorafor at left tackle, Michael Jordan at left guard, David Andrews at center, Layden Robinson, the rookie, at right guard, and Mike Onwenu at right tackle. 6 pass snaps later, Chuks Okorafor was benched. He allowed 3 pressures. They put in Vidarian Lowe. Vidarian Lowe wasn't good, but also a key third down to start the game. We see them go jumbo package, jumbo tight end. Caden Wallace, the rookie right tackle, that should have been a left tackle, or was supposed to be, comes in off the bench. They run it to the right side. That's what you signify when you bring in that extra body. They instilled their will. Rhamondre broke it for a 14-yard gain. I mean, and they went back and back and back to the well. Like, Alex Van Pelt is getting creative without getting sexy. And, like, we don't have to do all these, like, pre-snap motions or in a way of, like, have all these receivers running open. We're going to run the ball. Let's get innovative and creative with running the ball successfully. And they did that. Like, that, I think that's just, like, huge of, and that sets up the passing game, which we'll see week by week work its way up.
Right. I think it's very surprising that things worked out the way they did, specifically with when they take out Okorafor and put Vidarian Lowe in. That 5 is a unit that did not practice together, not play together. Yeah, it was scary for a moment there. Because Vidarian Lowe, like you said, he was hurt. You know, he barely practiced over the last 2 weeks. So you're choosing to play a guy that's injured, really, over who was supposed to be your starting left tackle when you signed him in the offseason. And it's just kind of it just hasn't been there. They know that Mike Onwenu is their best option at right tackle, so they try to move Okorafor over to the left side, and it's just kind of been a disaster. 13 snaps is insane for in totality of a guy who started the game at left tackle. Like, that just doesn't happen. And for them to go out there and with 5 guys who did not play together to look as competent as they didn't look good by any means, but to look as competent and to be able to run the ball the way they did is, you know, everybody has to be wiping the sweat off and just feeling good about we got out of it. Now moving forward, I think you have to start thinking, I don't think you can go forward with this 5. You know, Sidy So, say he comes back healthy, that's great. Left tackle is still a problem. It still needs to be addressed. Vidarian Lowe can't be that guy throughout the season. And like you said, with the passing game, the running game is going to open that up. But if Jacoby Brissett has 2.5 seconds or less with each passing play, it's not going to work, especially with a system where you're running heavy on play action, bootleg stuff, where you need time for these plays to develop.
There was a certain point, it was back-to-back drives as well. I have it right here. Patriots 7th drive, 3rd and short. Jacoby lit up by blitzing Mike linebacker. Well, that was before, but it was earlier drives in the game. Patriots 5th drive. Here we go. I found my notes. 3rd and 4, pressure off left edge. Jacoby throws it away. They punt. 6th drive, pressure off the left edge again. They settle for a Joey Sly field goal. Like, credit they have a kicker that can make field goals, but it was time and time and time again where we see 4 to the 5 blocking fine, especially in pass pro. Vidarian Lowe getting beat off the snap every single play. His second snap in the game, to show what you're talking about of he's barely practiced, he's been injured, he gets a false start penalty. But there was composure. Like, credit to that. And we knew coming into this, like, the Bengals last season had one of the worst run defenses in the league. They lost DJ Reader in the offseason. That is a huge loss in the middle of your defensive line when that's where the Patriots we saw have success in the run game. And it was like, okay, the Patriots' main backbone of their offense will be running the ball, but, like, can they do it even if the Bengals are bad? Like, that's an area where the Pats have to take advantage of it. And at least they were able to. Like, there's a weakness in your opponent. Can you exploit it? And they did. Like, there is that glass half full, but then the glass half empty is like, I still don't trust this 5 up front. We saw Jacoby Brissett take a few licks. Now, he didn't get sacked, but he was hit plenty, catching some hard hits as well. And that is what's concerning because you had a guy that went out there and won you the game. I mean, the final drive to set up the final Joey Sly field goal, 3rd and 2, Jacoby Brissett scrambled for a first down. Later in the drive, 3rd and 4, Hunter Henry finds him for a 9-yard gain. Like, converting it and moving the chains. This offense was always within the chains, ahead of schedule, not getting behind on downs, right? But like, can Jacoby Brissett make it to, let's say, week 8, week 9, or week 5, whenever you want this offensive line to be ready for Drake May to take over? Or like, if Jacoby Brissett's even the guy this year, there is still a lot of red flags with this unit up front blocking for him and blocking for Rhamondre Stevenson by all means.
Yeah, you've already seen with the injuries, like this stuff's going to keep cropping up. You just hope that it's not the guys that are showing that they're capable and the guys you want to keep there when ultimately you find the right 5. Like, God forbid Mike Onwenu gets hurt on the right side or David Andrews. Like, the reason they didn't play Nick Leverett, who was playing guard during the practice week, really, he was kind of repping with the ones. It was because if you get David Andrews hurt and then Nick Leverett is your left guard, who's snapping the ball? Mm-hmm. And Nick Leverett didn't look great snapping the ball during the preseason, but he's literally your only option at that point. So they're having to make decisions based off of contingency plans. Like, we can't play both these guys because God forbid they both get hurt. No, we have no one to snap the ball. So they're already in a spot where they're having decisions forced upon them. It's week 1. They got out of there with a victory, but moving forward, we've said, and they do have the 2 tackles. I think it's something that needs to be mentioned. 2 inactives, the guys that they picked up off the waiver wire, like as they get into the system and they learn more of the offense, I think you're really going to start to see them push for that left tackle job, maybe even right tackle, push Mike Onwenu in, kind of try to figure out what your best 5 is. But you have 2 guys at least. They're the unknown, which at this point is better than the known because you know what Vidarian Lowe is. You know what Chuks Okorafor is.
Exactly. Credit to them, as bad as that left tackle spot was today. No sacks on Jacoby Brissett. Trey Hendrickson pretty much like reared just like not, a non-factor in this game as well. I also want to give a shout out. I mean, Rhamondre Stevenson, 25 carries. I went through his carry log. Here are the 4 negative yard carries for him. -2, -2, -1, -3. Last season, Keagan, if he carried the ball 25 times, I'm kind of not exaggerating. Like 15 of those carries would have went for 0 or -1 to 2 yards. To only have 5 plays of negative or no yards gained out of the 25, and then again to average 4.8 yards a carry. And we saw that run he had on the end. Made 3 guys miss, basically put him on skates, moved the chains, and that's when there was a big celebration of, that's it. They're going to use their last timeout talking about the Bengals, and then they're just going to kneel it out. Like, credit to Rhamondre Stevenson finding the space, and credit to the offensive line getting this push. Let's talk a little defense here. What jumped out to you about the defense? Well, I mean, they held Joe Burrow under 200 yards passing, and Zach Moss, Chase Brown, those guys were non-factors in the run game.
I think they knew who they were playing, right? This is a one-dimensional offense kind of baseline. Even with, T. Higgins out, they're a passing team. Chase Brown, I don't think is striking fear in the hearts of anybody. We've seen Zach Moss. He was in Buffalo for a long time. He's just kind of a guy, right? So they knew we're not really worried about the run game, and the Patriots are going to be a good run defending team anyway, but they were pretty aggressive, and DeMarcus Covington talked about it throughout the offseason. I'm going after offenses. I'm not sitting back and keeping people in front of me, and it's what he did today. They didn't really blitz a ton, but they ran a lot of stunts, and they put personnel decisions. They put guys in a position to succeed. Keon White was all over the place. He was playing
fantastic.
Early downs. He was playing outside. He would bump inside on pass rushing downs. He obviously was fantastic, like you said. I think he ended up with 2 sacks, if not 2.5.
2.5.
But he was in on all 3, right? He kind of made those plays happen. Had 3 quarterback hits, had 8 pressures, I believe it was. Like, unbelievable pass rushing out of a guy who literally said, like, I don't like pass rushing. I'm not a good pass rusher. I just play fast and I try to get after the quarterback. It's like, I think you're pretty good, dude. You can't really tell us you stink when you're the best player on the field by far.
Buddy, that's going to get you paid a lot of money. Like, come on.
Right. He's in year 2. Like, he's got a long ways to go. But if he keeps playing the way he's playing right now, it's like Depoy, sack leader, crazy stuff that I don't think anybody was expecting. Even though we really thought a lot of Keon White coming into the season, no one expected like 2.5 sacks in the first game and being the best player on the field. I don't think we did. And like you said, with defensively, I think a guy who doesn't really get the credit, I haven't seen a lot. Marcus Jones played out of his mind today. The first 2 third down stops, Marcus Jones rally tackle before the sticks. Joe Burrow's throwing short of the sticks, but you need somebody to come up and make those plays, and he did it. Really got the defense rolling, and then obviously right place, right time with the fumble recovery. He had a pass breakup. For a guy who missed almost all of last season, he only played in 2 games. And there really are questions about whether or not he can stay healthy. You see what he is when he is on the field, and it kind of transforms this secondary where he can play in the slot, John Jones can go play outside, and then you're not having to rely on Alex Austin or Marco Wilson, a guy who I'm going to talk about later. You don't really want to trust those guys. But Marcus Jones, he stood out to me, I think, more than anybody else.
And one of those, an undersized nickel corner, like laid down the boom on one of those third down hits. Jonathan Jones, the same thing. I think it was Andre Yoshivash who got the pass, got the reception just behind the sticks. Yeah. And they went to move it, and Jonathan Jones came up and just absolutely stopped him in his tracks. Like, we see the secondary stepping up, and it's the guys that you wouldn't expect to lay hits like that, especially Marcus Jones, who's undersized. Joe Burrow was pressured 11 times today, sacked 3 times, and 7 hurries coming from this defense. Like, there were a lot of cutaways of DeMarcus Covington, a lot of him celebrating. It's like, rightfully so. I mean, the defense kept getting stops time and time again, and they held the Bengals 4 for 11 on third down. Like, everything just boils down to it was simple, smart football and what they were doing. And Keion White absolutely stole the show. Joshua Uche also played really big for the Patriots as well. Same thing of, there's expectations of Keion White. No one expected this, and it's one game. We'll see what he does over 17. Same for Uche of, can you be more, on a prove-it deal, can you be more than a third down specialist pass rusher? And it was a lot of White and Uche making plays, getting to the ball, and stumping Joe Burrow. And if it wasn't them even getting to them or hitting them, again, it's just that pocket was collapsing so fast that this defense had its fingerprints all over this victory for them.
Yeah, I think one of the best things DeMarcus Covington did too was he just put the horses in the spot to succeed, right? Like, he wasn't really doing too much in terms of the play calling, but it was in a 3rd and 4 when you kind of need to play against the run and the pass. Who are you putting out there? Devon Godchaux, a guy you paid, he's not on the field because in this situation, he's not really what you need. Dietrich Wise, Anthony Jennings, and Keion White, those are your 3 down linemen. They go make a play against the run. Like, he's just the personnel decisions go as far as the play calls do when you're talking about defense, because really it's about the guys just having them on the field being able to make plays. And we've seen over the last 2 years this Patriots defense, they have the guys, right, and they can do it. It's just whether or not they're put in the right position to succeed, and they were today.
It's also, let's give a shout out. I mentioned it earlier. 32, 35, 37. Those are the 3 field goal makes for Joey Sly. You go back to the Giants game, Chad Ryland's missing a 35-yard field goal. Now, could this be the difference between the Pats picking top 5 and top 3, or maybe even top 5 and top 7? And could it be the difference between Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks, who are both very good left tackles in college? Like, either way, they're going to get one. But again, it's just like the little things that are cleaned up. And like Bryce Baringer, like we spoke about Covington, AVP, and Gerard Mayo first time in the roles, but Jeremy Springer comes over from the Rams, who was in this, and like that's just, we've seen the last few years, like Cam Acord leading his special teams that was making no uptick, but Bill Belichick for whatever reason was stubborn and would never fire a guy, which is like didn't make sense. You bring in Springer, it's one game again, we'll see how they do. And the wind was definitely had an effect on the punting game in Cincinnati, as we saw from their punter. But nonetheless, like Baringer executed, and Joey Sly was just nails. And it was just like the little things where you would have concern and anxiety when you'd see them line up last season. That's the stuff that's buttoned up with this team. And again, those 3 field goals were the difference today because it was a 16-10 win. When we've seen it a year ago, it could have been a 10-7 loss or maybe a 10-10 game going into overtime in Cincinnati.
This is one of those things where, like you said, the field goals, just making your field goals is the difference between a win and a loss. Last year we saw it. They probably had 2, 3, maybe even 4 games where one play lost them the game. If they made the play instead of completely bundling it, they go out and they grab a win, and that's the difference between 3 wins, 4 wins, 5 wins, whatever it is. I think this year we'll see that they're not completely falling all over themselves late in games like we saw today. You need to go get 2 first downs, they go get 2 first downs. You need to make your kicks to stay in a game where you're not scoring touchdowns. He makes the kicks, and they're staying in this game. So it's nice watching competent football. It's been a while since we've watched the Patriots play competent football. So it's been 1 week. I don't want to overreact. Yeah. But it was nice. It was nice to watch.
We'll get to overreaction soon enough, but like that's what it is, and that's a bare minimum. I'm going to pull up something really quick. Okay. Week 13 last season. Punt, fumble, punt, 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 end of half, punt, punt, downs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of those drives going 3 and out. That was a Patriots 6-0 loss against the Chargers at home last season.
I should have said it. I was going to say, was that the Chargers game? Because
Were
the
you really
infamous
thinking
Chargers game where I was there, yeah, and no one went to that game. That was the game where there were tickets for like $8 on SeatGeek, 10 minutes before kickoff. So I'm glad we're both in the same wavelength there, where that is the epitome of bad Patriots football right there. Patriots Chargers 2023.
Yep. And then let's go punt, touchdown, punt, field goal, punt, field goal, punt, field goal, punt, end of game. That end of game drive being a 2-minute, 13-second possession that sealed the win. That's competent football, Keegan. That's how low the standard is, but that's how good it is to see it. I've said this story. I'll probably say it 10 more times this season. Go back a couple years. It's Christmas Eve, Cincinnati at New England. Bengals are driving down. I'm not even going to get to how the game ended with a Rhamondre Stevenson fumble, but Bengals are driving. They're in the red zone. It's 2nd down in the red zone, and I watched Joe Burrow throw the football between the goalposts because there was nothing there. Live to see another down. And I perked up in my seat up in the press box, and I was like, that was so smart. And then I reminded, I go, no, that's basic IQ of what to do as a quarterback. That's how low the bar is. That's how good it's been. It's good to see that from a football team because that's not what they were getting a year ago, 2 years ago.
No, not at all. I feel like, is this what Iowa Hawkeye football fans feel like? Where
this game, 16-10 final, or just?
No, just in general from last year to this year, the change. Iowa scored 40 points in week 1 and everybody was losing their minds. Holy crap, Iowa knows how to score now. The Patriots just didn't throw up all over themselves, and I'm like, wow, that was awesome. It was great watching that game. Punts, you're happy to see punts because at least it's not Mac Jones throwing off his back foot and turning the ball over, right? You're like, all right, live to see another drive. So maybe this isn't where you want to be, but it's a good place to start, definitely from where you're coming from, for sure.
And at least there are drives of only 3 of them were 3-and-out punts. And we saw 3 drives with 12 or more plays. That never happened last year. They would go a whole game without a 12-play drive and even get into plus territory. You mentioned it. I'll go there's the one of we saw Jacoby Brissett under pressure, threw one up to Hunter Henry kind of off his back foot getting hit. Yeah. That one was almost picked off. On the call, they're like, it was 50-50. It was no, that ball was in the defensive back's gut, but just good thing he didn't come down with it. And we also see the reverse of that Mike Gesicki, what we thought was a touchdown in his revenge game facing the Patriots, that one get called back because he didn't have possession through the grounds. But as you said and Bill Belichick was famous for this, you don't necessarily have to win the game. You just have to play clean enough and outlast your opponent because eventually they will lose it. And that's what the Patriots are getting back to. It's not the sexiest, it's not the flashiest, but it's winning football, and that's what they have to be happy with.
It happened on the next play. They go out and Kyle Duggar's able to get his hand in there, knock the ball loose on Mike Gesicki, who, by the way, doesn't get a revenge game. Mike Gesicki is not important enough to Patriots history to get a revenge game. He's just a guy who was on the Bengals.
No,
today.
He's from Jersey. He gets a revenge game. If you're from Jersey,
maybe
you
when
get
he
whatever
goes and
you
plays
want.
the Giants, he gets a revenge game. Not with the Patriots. Not important enough. But like I was saying, the very next play, Joe Burrow makes a really good read. He checks it down in the middle of the field. And for some reason, Bengals tight end, it was Tanner Hudson, thank you.
Yep,
reaches the ball out from the 5-yard line. Buddy, you're not scoring. I don't know if you thought you were going to MJ and Space Jam, but that ball wasn't even close to the end zone. And again, Kyle Duggar making a play on the ball, which is just what he does. Marcus Jones coming up with it.
So smart.
Those are the plays. If you're able to get your arm in to break up a pass, then the very next play you turn the ball over. Instead of it goes from 7 points to maybe 3 points to none. That's the difference in a game like this.
Yeah, and you see those margins. Yeah, I was wondering, at first I thought he was trying to do a swim move because the ball was still there. And I'm that's dumb freshman football, day 2 of summer, 2-a-days stuff you do. And then I was I think it was reaching for the goal line. And again, the smart thing of get this, secure the ball. If you go down at the one, you do. If not, run through a guy. Yeah. Again, that's winning football.
We've done a lot of Bill Belichick talk, but he ended N'Keal Harry's career for doing that 5 years ago. Reaching at the goal, he was like, "You're done. You don't play for me anymore. We're not throwing you the ball. You can go block. That's all you do." So maybe we'll see Tanner Hudson, cooking at Wendy's next week or something like that.
Did Bill Belichick end N'Keal Harry's career? Or did N'Keal Harry end N'Keal Harry's career?
We're not getting into it. The refs against Kansas City in 2019 ended N'Keal Harry's career. He was in bounds. He never stepped out. If he scored that touchdown, his career is completely different. Maybe Tom Brady trusts him. I rest my case.
The line of scrimmage against D Ford extended the Patriots dynasty as well, but we won't talk about that either. Let's get into our top 3, bottom 3 and all this. Let's start top 3. We'll switch off, one on, one off. So you give me your first guy on your top 3. Should we rank them? Let's rank them, Keegan. Give me your number 3 of your top 3. This is what I'm doing.
Number 3?
I'm producing and hosting on the fly.
Okay, I'll go Marcus Jones. I mentioned him earlier. I kind of gave my spiel already, but just a guy who's everywhere you need him to be at all times. Really stepped up for them. He transforms the way they play defense.
Yeah, I like that. My number 3 on my top 3, I just mentioned him, Joey Sly. Went out, did his job, executed. Honorable mention, I'm cheating here. I will go Jacoby Brissett. Those 2 third down drives on the last scoring possession of them. They would have won 13-10 anyway, whatever. But you're executing and moving the chains on third down. So, you know what? Hand in hand, I'm pivoting. Joey Sly and Jacoby Brissett together are my number 3 on my top 3. Who's your number 2?
Number 2, I'll go with Rhamondre. Just, he was awesome, and maybe I'm cutting him short a little bit, but
I think you are.
I think there's one player who had a bigger impact than he did in the game, but he was phenomenal. I think even more off the field on the sideline to make the change, being like, I don't want to run zone. I want to run the gap scheme, and that was a huge difference. So Rhamondre, number 2.
Probably our 1 and 2 are flipped. I'm going Keon White with my number 2 of my top 3 in this game. I mean, 2.5 sacks, all those hurries, all those pressures, just dominating at the defensive line. And that's football like in its essence and in its simplicity of they won at the line of scrimmage on both sides. Keon White was by far their best defender today, in my opinion. And when you beat Joe Burrow and you never let him or this offense get going, as talented as they are. And again, I'll say one more time we looked at the Patriots in this game as saying, well, their weakness is the Bengals run defense. Can you take advantage? This is a rookie offensive coordinator. Zach Taylor's still doing the thing, but Dan Pitcher elevated from QB coach to OC. Like, again, that's something you have to take advantage of before the Bengals and Dan Pitcher get their legs under them. And the Patriots did just that. So credit to the defense. Keon White is my number 2 best player in today's game.
And he's my number 1. I mean, he is... I think I'm just kind of confirming my own bias a little bit with this, but like every time somebody asks me about a player to watch for this year, I would yell from the mountaintops, Keon White. I think he has a chance to be like Myles Garrett level good. And that's a lot, especially for a second year guy, but he can be a top 10 pass rusher in the NFL. And it's not just rushing the passer, but his ability to play against the run, his ability to play all over the defensive line. Like he's not up there yet. He might not ever get there, but I think he can get close. Maybe not get close, but he can get in the conversation. Now you got me walking myself back.
Dude, you compared Keon White to Myles Garrett. I just want that to be like
insane.
Said.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I take it back.
I remember, no, die on your sword. I just remember I was in, I think I was like around the Point in Salem, I think over the course of the summer. And I was getting a lobster roll. At this point, I was probably having like a nice ice cold beer. And out of nowhere, I think in the distance, I heard Keon White's going to be a defensive player of the year. And I was like, is that Keegan? And like, I know I'm in Salem, and Keegan is a proud Salem native. And I was like, it can't be, but thank you for confirming that. It was a weird summer day. I thought the heat was getting to me, but no, it's Keon White is Myles Garrett.
Every day I wake up, I walk out onto my deck, and I just scream Keon White's name. Just maybe he'll hear me one day. I need everybody to know that that's the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning.
What is Keon White doing today? When... Not if will he get in the Hall of Fame. Like, will it be first ballot or second?
Right.
That's what you think
first
of Keon
ballot,
White.
Right.
That's what
I will say he posted an Instagram after the game. I don't know if you see the guy on TikTok who's a Bengals fan and he talks about his outfits. He's just kind of a weirdo. Keon White put that at the end of his Instagram. Great troll job. I don't think the Patriots have had enough of that over the years. We need a little edge on this team. Mm-hmm. I really like the way he approaches things. He's sneaky online, Keon White.
Yeah, he's a very introvert, like kind of to himself guy. Like comes in anytime you see him, very serious look on his face. You see him in the locker room, just like kind of to himself, doesn't smile much, very serious. But with that, man, I love that. Low key online. I like the trolls. I especially like trolling any weirdos out there. I don't know who his Bengals guy is. Keegan, I take your word on it. I'll send it to you. I hope he trolls the Boomer Doom guys next, except for the Rizzler. The Rizzler's my guy. My number 1 player in today's game, Rhamondre Stevenson. I hit on it very minimal negative plays, only one carry that didn't go anywhere, 4.8 yards per rush, 25 carries, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, just dominated this game, dictated the offense, and sealed the win for them. His best moments came when the Patriots needed him the most, and I think that is so important, which not every NFL player has, but he did. He did. I know there was a scare of that fumble. It was recovered. But Rhamondre Stevenson, I mean, you look at this offense, Keegan. You went with Keon White as a future Hall of Famer. I mean, and it's not crazy to say Rhamondre Stevenson's their best player on offense. We'll see the growth of Pop Douglas. We'll see the growth of Jalen Polk. We'll see the growth of Jacoby Brissett and KJ Osborne, because on money downs, he was targeting KJ Osborne early and often.
Right.
But Rhamondre's their best player on offense, and he did as so and won them a game. He iced the game for them, and I think that's so crucial.
I know you're an O-line guy, so I will throw in Mike Onwenu is still the best player on the offense. It doesn't matter if he doesn't get to touch the ball. He's still their best player. Rhamondre is close, though. I think he said after the game, or maybe it was Jacoby Brissett who said, Gerard Mayo views him as a top 5 running back. He thinks he is one of the very best in the league, and I think they're going to utilize him that way. So if you give him the opportunity, who says he can't go and reach that status? So I agree with you 100%.
I completely agree. And you're right. I am a O-line guy, and that's going to bring us into our bottom 3. So we're going to list them. Let's go 3 to 1. Out of the 3 worst players for the Patriots today, who do you think was their 3rd worst player? Yes, that made sense.
I brought him up earlier, Marco Wilson. I noticed him on 2 snaps, and I shouldn't have noticed him is the issue. If I never notice a cornerback, it's great news.
Good thing.
He goes out, he gets beat for a slant that gets dropped, so he got lucky. And then on the next play, holding call that sets, I think it was a 25, 30-yard penalty for Cincinnati on their only touchdown drive. It moved them from the 10-yard line
up to the 30. It was a 20-yard penalty, yeah.
20-yard penalty. So really bad, you can't be put in a spot like that. And obviously you're going to want the hold so he doesn't make a huge play, but having to put him out there and then having it end up like that, it was a clear kind of display of maybe the depth in the secondary isn't what we thought it was.
Yeah, Marco Wilson was a guy that kind of showed flashes in the preseason. Yeah. So, and it was is he the cornerback too? I don't know if the Patriots have that answer yet. But if Duggar, Peppers, Jalen Hawkins, Christian Gonzalez continue to play the way they do, they can get that answer. I'm cheating here. Not going exactly on the field, and I'll say it's because I had Marco Wilson as my 3rd worst as well because of the same things you pointed out. 3rd worst performer today from the Patriots, I'm still going to go at Elliott Wolf because you don't have a left tackle, and it's showing, and it could have cost you the game. So that is my 3rd worst performer today from the Patriots. Who's your number 2 on bottom 3?
Chuks Okorafor. You can't get benched for a guy who's hurt. It's as simple as that. They didn't trust him over Vidarian Lowe. If you're at that level, then you're always going to be on the bottom players list. It's just they're in trouble moving forward, I think, because he just can't give them what they need at left tackle.
My 2nd worst player is Vidarian Lowe, and that's because Chuks is going to be my worst today. How early he got benched, I'll get more into that. But Vidarian Lowe steps in, still did not do a good job at left tackle. Credit to the play calling, credit to Jacoby Brissett moving around in the pocket. All the talk of everyone calling him a statue. Everyone said that. Continually. He's a statue. He can't move. He can't do this. Scrambled for first downs, got out of pressure, extended plays, threw it away. But a lot of that was Vidarian Lowe just selling him out and not doing any favors for his quarterback. So Vidarian Lowe is my number 2 on bottom 3. Who's your number 1 then? I'm surprised if Chuks is your 2. Who's your 1?
I'm flipping it on you. You give me yours because I have a surprise for my number 1.
Wait, I don't like that. Okay, well, wait, who's hosting this? Who? Okay.
I have to.
All right, you know what? I'll let you get that after you said that Keon White is a future Mount Rushmore of all time NFL players.
I'm going to get clowned anyway, so you at least give me this. That's all I need.
There is Keon White, there is Lawrence Taylor, and there's Andre Tippett, the 3 best pass rushers of all time. Chuks Okorafor is the worst player. You said it, what was it, 13 snaps? 6 of those being pass plays, and you get benched? Buddy, you were brought in, yes, as a swing tackle, and I know your experiences as right tackle, but you've been the guy at camp at left tackle now. It's been that way since Lowe went down. You can't make it past 13 plays? Are you kidding me? And you're a vet. You've played 6 seasons in the NFL. You need to get this done. But you know what? It's not only on him. That goes back to my number 3, Elliott Wolf. You still need to find a left tackle. A placeholder. Go. You should have signed Jonah Williams. $21.5 million. You have all this cap space. I get the rollover. Spend some now. And Jonah Williams would have been fine for this year and next before Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks takes over. Chuksa Okorafor, you're my number one. Bottom three. Who's your number one, Keegan? Now I'm intrigued.
I abstain. I won't give you another one because the Patriots are going to be so bad this year that we're going to have plenty of players to crap all over. In this game, where they beat a contender to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC, you can't have a third. So I abstain from the third pick. I will leave number one empty. Next week, whenever the next time I'm on, I'll give you an extra one if they need it, but I'm holding it off for the future because I know it's about to get really, really bad for the Patriots. So give them something to be happy about this week.
All right, whatever. At least I got creative. Again, reminder, folks, who's the one hosting this? It's me because I get creative and make Elliott Wolf one of the worst performers of the game. But you know what, Keegs,
I think not giving one is kind of creative in its own right.
Well, honestly, in a way, I didn't give one either because I could only name you two players, and they're both left tackles. So we're meeting handshake emoji right there. Keegan George handshake over beers in Salem while he's yelling about Keon White and his Hall of Fame.
And the point with your lobster roll.
Dude, I love Salem. I'd never go in October, too. I'm not one of those people. I don't bring extra traffic for you, Keegan. Salem is one of my favorite towns. Very underrated town.
Can't go in September either.
It's loonies everywhere. But I'll end up going in September because my girlfriend loves it. All right, no girlfriend talk. Keegan and I have done that enough. Let's go to week one overreactions, Keegan. The Packers season is over. Overreaction or not an overreaction?
Overreaction. And I'll say slight overreaction because from all the reports that we see about Jordan Love's injury, should be back in a few weeks. If he misses 3 to 4, I think they can be okay. Mm-hmm. If it's any longer than that, or if they lose all 3/4 of those games, we can come back and have a conversation about their season being over. Malik Willis is not the answer. So no. I think they have to go find a quarterback. Maybe Sean Clifford's the guy. But for right now, not an overreaction. Not quite yet.
As two Big Ten fans as we are, along with Salem fans and Keon White Hall of Famer leaders of that clubhouse.
Fans.
Sean Clifford ain't that guy. Colts, no. Titans, Minnesota. Colts, I think it'll be a tough one, and then at Rams, but Packers can win that. I don't think it's over. It's a MCL, not an ACL. An MCL is what Patrick Mahomes played with a few years ago. Part of the upside on why I love Jordan Love is his athleticism and his ability to extend plays. We'll see how mobile he is when he comes back, but they dodged a bullet. If he went down, they're screwed. Ryan Tannehill, Trevor Siemian, that would have been awful. Caleb Williams, 14 for 29, 93 yards in his Bears debut. Marvin Harrison Jr., 3 targets, 1 reception, 4 yards. They're both busts. Overreaction, not an overreaction.
Not an overreaction. And I can't speak a ton to the Caleb Williams part of this or overreaction.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
I'm sorry.
Good.
I freaked that. That was a mistake.
Oh, my God.
I can't speak to the Caleb Williams part. I didn't get to catch a lot of that game because of the Patriots one.
Yeah.
I did see, with the game on the line, with a chance to go into Buffalo and beat the Bills, Marvin Harrison was wide open, giving it one of these, walking into the end zone, and Kyler Murray didn't even look in his direction. So you can't blame the guy for getting open and not getting the ball. Quarterback, it's a little bit different, but it's an overreaction for sure when it comes to Marvin Harrison.
It's any rookie, game 1, week 1. Bears won. Yeah. Special teams made a huge play. Jonathan Owens, a.k.a. Mr. Simone Biles, blocked punt touchdown for him. So good for him. I won't make a short joke, but Kyler Murray couldn't see over the offensive line. I'm sorry. I'm a short king. I shouldn't have done that. Not overreaction. MHJ is a stud. Bengals offense will be one of the worst in the NFL.
That's absurd. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. T. Higgins will be back. Yeah, Jamar Chase will kind of get his feet wet a little bit and get better as the season goes along. That's an overreaction.
Yeah, I agree. Overreaction. NFL, the new kickoff rule is good for the game.
Overreaction. And I'm going the other way. I think it's bad for the game. Actively, we did see a touchdown. Arizona returned one in Buffalo today. But we're going to just start seeing them kick it through the back of the end zone and deal with the extra 5 yards. Yeah. Any team worth its weight, any team with a brain has been kicking it through the back of the end zone. We saw it with the defending Super Bowl champions versus the team they played in the AFC Championship. We saw it in Brazil with the Eagles and the Packers. No one really wants to deal with the kickoff. Just kick it through the back of the end zone. I think they're going to end up eliminating it at a certain point because it's just not worth kicking it off.
I think, this is overreaction because it's just shown it's done nothing. They want more returns.
Right.
Penalize these teams. Put the ball in the 35 or the 40. I said that. Watching it Thursday night, it took like a quarter and a half of football of me going, they're cooking out. And it's Andy Reid and it's John Harbaugh, two of the smartest, most brilliant coaches in the league. And they're saying, F your new rule, put it on the 30. Right. We'll deal with that 5 yards because 7 yards is still a long way to go against my defense. Tom Brady is the GOAT color analyst. First game today, Browns-Cowboys. He was in the booth with my boy, Kevin Burkhardt.
Overreaction. Kevin Burkhardt might be the greatest play-by-play guy. He's awesome. I think he's tremendous. I've really enjoyed him. Tom Brady is just it's just a guy. Like, he didn't really bring a ton. I tried to pay attention because I wanted to see, is he going to be as good as everybody thinks he is? I think Greg Olsen and Kevin Burkhardt should still be the crew. I think they should have the Super Bowl this year. I think Greg Olsen is awesome. Tom Brady and it's only one game. Like we said with the rookies, you don't want to overreact too much, but I don't think he was very good.
It was his first game. And that was the same thing. Like, I was locked in. Like, I went out of my way of, like, I want to watch Cowboys-Browns. Obviously, we're going to talk about Tom Brady, which Laura Stickles and I did on Boston's Entered the Chat. Check out the latest episode. Or if you get your podcast, or check it out on YouTube. That's Boston Has Entered the Chat. But I was watching, and he was tense. He was tight. He didn't know where to look. He was getting frozen, and I get it. First time you do anything, there's a difference between talking into a camera and talking in front of a crowd. Great public speaker. We were there for his Hall of Fame ceremony. I mean, he absolutely crushed it. He was amazing, right? Like, had everyone want to run through a wall. It's a different thing being in a booth, but he did do a good job of knowing when to get in and get out in between plays. Yeah. He's not like Tony Romo, just vomiting all over the call and cutting Jim Nance's legs out from under him. But I agree, too. And I will say not an overreaction that Kevin Burkhardt's the best play-by-play voice. I will also say not an overreaction that Kevin Burkhardt is the best play-by-play voice because he's from New Jersey. Let's move on. Deshaun Watson is the worst quarterback ever. I'm going to say, yeah. Like, he was top 5 at the height of his powers, but 700 days of football gone, comes into the Browns, and he just continually sucks, and he's getting $230 million fully guaranteed.
Post-trade Deshaun Watson, maybe the worst quarterback I've ever seen. So not an overreaction. He looks terrified out there. To a nicer guy. Like, I feel no sort of way. I'm whatever. Tough shit for Deshaun Watson. Put Jameson. I think the Browns might be better with Jameis Winston at quarterback. He is bad.
They were better with old man Joe Flacco. Like They were literally better with him. Couldn't happen to a worse human. Deshaun Watson, real stand-up guy. Let's go. Let's finish this up, Keegan. We have 2.5 minutes. So that is my way of host telling you, let's be quick with these. Week 1 takeaways, what do you got for me? And let's go back to Thursday night if you got them.
Thursday night, Isaiah Likely's sick. I think he's awesome. Should have had 2 touchdowns, missed it by a toe. A guy I've really liked since he came out. I think he's going to be huge for that offense this year. Isaiah
Likely next Travis Kelce. That's what you just said. I love Isaiah Pacheco's running style. Like, there is the beauty of the eyes of watching a guy just glide in open field when a hole opens up or he has green grass in front of him after catching a pass. And then there's Isaiah Pacheco just beating the shit out of the ground with his feet. And I absolutely love it. And again, Isaiah Pacheco from New Jersey. That's also why I love it. But he runs so angry. It's just a beauty to watch. You got one more week 1 takeaway for me?
I will say on the Pacheco front, greatest tweet of all time is Isaiah Pacheco runs like he bites people. It'll never get better than that. That's the best tweet of all time. I'll go to the Brazil game. That was a really cool environment. And I know people, they made a lot about Twitter being banned in Brazil, and they talked about the stadium and the grass, whatever it is. I love when the NFL gets out to these, kind of just different environments where these fans are so thirsty for the game. It makes it a really fun watch.
I liked it. I wish they planned it better. I wish they were more strategic about where they put it. It was dangerous. How dangerous? I don't know. I wasn't there. 10-hour flight, all that. You heard the players hate it. But again, in this CBA where you guys are getting now $231 million guaranteed, the owners are going to take it where they take games to Brazil. My last week 1 takeaway, illegal formations suck. Like, I get it, they're proving a point, but really does it do anything? Like, does it actually? I don't know. So that sucks. But I know Chuk's a core for. You know why he was so bad today, Keegan? Because he was celebrating seeing another left tackle get flagged time and time again. So he felt validated and vindicated. He's like, look, it's not me. And then it affected his game on Sunday. That's what it was.
At least it was him in the preseason, Poor Ronnie Stanley in Baltimore ruining drives just early in the game. It was tough.
It was nuts. All right, this wraps up Foxboro Rush. Keegs, love you hopping on, bro. It'll be Keegan and I on all week. Catch new episodes Wednesday and Friday dropping as well. Patriots win 16-10. Next game, they're home, hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Stick right here, Foxboro Rush. Wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. Please like, subscribe, rate, review, download. If you're watching on Nesson's YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Follow Keegan and I on all social channels. We'll see you guys later this week for the next few episodes. Peace.